2026年7月6日、伝説のドジャースタジアム、この試合を前に、ロサンゼルスの街全体が固唾を飲んで見守っていました。なぜなら、我らが究極の二刀流であり野球界の神様である大谷翔平選手が右腕上腕二頭筋の張りによって土曜日の試合を欠場しなければならなかったからです。不安は明白で、彼の肉体的な限界に関する噂も大きくなっていました。しかし、この別次元のエイリアンは何をしたのでしょうか。彼は打席に立ち、スタッドキャストのシステムを完全に粉砕し、エリートレベルのバレル率を叩き出し、すべての疑念を完全に黙らせるパフォーマンスを披露したのです。コロラド、ロッキーズとの勝者を決めるまでに過酷な11イニングを要したこの絶対的なマラソンマッチの展開を見ていきましょう。実はこれがドジャースにとって今シーズン初の延長戦であり、圧倒的な60勝32敗の成績で MLB 初の60勝という巨大なマイルストーンに到達したチームとして歴史に名を刻む結果となりました。緊張は早くも2回、ロッキーズが先制した場面から始まりました。エセキエル・トーバーがレフトへの犠牲フライを放ち、コール・キャリグが生還してコロラドが1対0とリードを奪いました。しかし3回の裏、セイバーメトリクスの教室で何年にもわたってリプレイされるであろう瞬間が訪れました。ノーアウトでルーキーキャッチャーのダルトン・ラッシングがフォアボールで出塁した後、大谷は左投手のカイル・フリーランドを相手に打席に入りました。通常の打者にとって、この左対左の対決は悪夢であり、ケース率を利用して高い空振り率を誘発しようとする投手にとって大きなアドバンテージとエッジとなります。しかし、大谷は普通ではありません。彼を詰まらせるための初球のカッターに対して、大谷は猛烈で完璧なスイングを放ったのです。打球速度は 105.9 マイルを記録し、彼の驚異的なハードヒット率を真に証明しました。ボールは驚異の379フィート、約 115.5 メートルを飛び、左中間スタンドへ一直線に突き刺さりました。このツーランホームランで瞬時に形勢を逆転させ、ドジャースに2対1のリードをもたらすとともに、自身の OPS 打数を劇的に上昇させました。これは今季第19号ホームランであり、彼の歴史的な MLB キャリアにおける第299号となりました。信じられないことに、その299発のホームランのうち、128発がドジャースのユニフォームを着たわずか3シーズンの間に生まれたものです。攻撃の猛攻はそれだけにとどまりませんでした。4回、ドジャースはさらに4点を奪って爆発します。マックス・マンシーがヒットで1点を叩き出し、ミゲル・ロハスが犠牲フライを追加した後、大谷が再びダメージを与えるべく戻ってきました。彼はマンシーとラッシングの両者を生還させる2点タイムリーヒットを放ち、リードを圧倒的な6対1に広げたのです。しかし、ロッキーズもおとなしく降伏することはありませんでした。5回にトーバーがソロホームランを放ち、6回にはジェイク・マッカーシーがタイムリーヒットを打って、スコアを6対3とじわじわと縮めました。そして9回、ドジャースの救援投手タナー、スコットに対して絶対的な大混乱が巻き起こります。ブルペンが崩れて残塁率が急落する中、カイル・カロスがタイムリーツーベースを放ち、続くコール・キャリグがすかさず2点タイムリーツーベースを打って、信じられないことに6対6の同点に追いついたのです。ロッキーズはあわや逆転という場面でしたが、本塁でのダルトン、ラッシングによるハンター、グッドマンへの驚異的なタッチプレーがチャレンジ、ビデオ判定でアウトに覆り、ドジャースは壊滅的な崩壊から救われました。延長戦に入り、緊張は沸点に達しました。10回の表。 マッカーシーの内野ゴロの間にキャリグが生還し、ロッキーズが7対6とリードを奪います。本塁ではキャリグとラッシングの間で激しい口論が勃発し、両チームのベンチから選手がグラウンドに飛び出す事態となりましたが、幸いにも実際に手を出しての乱闘には至りませんでした。その裏、ロッキーズの二塁手エドワルド、ジュリアンの致命的な守備のミスの間にアンディ・パヘスがホームへ滑り込み、ドジャースは必死に7対7の同点に追いつきました。最後に、この壮大な物語に終止符を打ったのは11回でした。勝利投手となるエドガルド・エンリケスが票の回を見事に無失点で抑え、ロースターにおける彼の絶大な価値を証明しました。11回の裏、ロッキーズはマックス・マンシーを敬遠で歩かせます。トミー・エドマンが完璧な送りバントを決めてランナーを進め、プロスペクトのルーキー、ダルトン、ラッシングに舞台を整えました。ラッシングはジミー・ハーゲットに対して打席に立ち、センター前へサヨナラヒットを放ち、テオスカー・ヘルナンデスをホームに迎え入れて決定的な8点目を奪いました。ドジャースにとって信じられないような8対7の勝利であり、ナショナルリーグ西地区での絶対的な支配を確固たるものにしました。
David Ortiz, when you watched Shohei Ohtani step up to the plate in the bottom of the third inning after an incredibly concerning injury scare, what was going through your mind as a pure hitter?
Listen to me, guys. I am a guy who spent my entire life standing in that batter's box, hunting for the perfect pitch to clear the bases. And I have to tell you, when I watched that swing by Shohei Ohtani, I literally jumped completely out of my chair and started screaming at the television out of pure, unadulterated excitement as a left-handed hitter who made a living driving in runs and acting as a cleanup hitter with 541 career home runs. I can confidently tell you that this kid's swing is not just a great athletic motion. It is a definitive, absolute work of art. You have to look at the massive context surrounding this specific at-bat to truly appreciate the genius of it. Before the game on July 6th even started, the entire city of Los Angeles and Dodgers fans all around the world were holding their breath in absolute terror because Shohei had to sit out on Saturday due to right biceps tightness. In this incredibly demanding sport, the moment a superstar of his caliber reports any sort of arm issue, the media and the doubters immediately start questioning his physical durability and worrying about a long-term absence. But just look at exactly how Shohei answered every single one of those critics. In the bottom of the third inning, he stepped into the box for his very first matchup against the Rockies' left-handed pitcher, Kyle Freeland. Now, a lefty-on-lefty matchup is usually a massive advantage for the pitcher, designed to drastically increase the batter's chase rate and ruin their mechanics. On the very first pitch, a cutter designed to jam him inside and break his bat. Shohei did not even bother taking a pitch to scout the velocity or the movement. He did not hesitate for a single fraction of a second. He recognized the spin instantly and unleashed a violent, perfectly calculated swing. Boom! The StatCast numbers on this hit are absolutely mesmerizing for a baseball nerd like me. The ball exploded off his bat with an exit velocity of 105.9 miles per hour, soaring into the Los Angeles sky with a flawless 29-degree launch angle. It traveled a commanding 379 feet, driving straight into the left center grandstands. That thunderous two-run home run brought Dalton rushing home, instantly flipping the game on its head to give the Dodgers a 2-1 lead. It was the most emphatic, aggressive answer possible to completely shatter any lingering fears about his tight right biceps. I was actually joking around with some friends earlier today saying, hey, is Shohei secretly participating in the Soccer World Cup right now? The whole country is currently swept up in soccer fever because the World Cup is happening right here in Los Angeles, and the United States national team just secured a massive 4-1 victory over Paraguay. But honestly, looking at the sheer terrifying muscle mass and the explosive leg strength Shohei generates, just look at the staggering distance of his home runs. I bet you any amount of money he could easily step onto a soccer pitch and blast free kicks past any world-class goalkeeper on the planet. I use that comparison just to show you that the things this kid is doing on a nightly basis are completely transcending the normal accepted limits of human athletics. But putting the soccer jokes aside for a moment, we need to talk about the monumental historical significance of this specific swing. First of all, this majestic blast marks his 299th career home run in Major League Baseball. He has accumulated 299 home runs and is now standing right on the doorstep, just one single step away from the legendary 300 home run milestone. Furthermore, do you guys realize the sheer, terrifying efficiency he is displaying in a Dodgers uniform? Out of those 299 career bombs, a staggering 128 of them have been hit in just 3 short seasons playing for Los Angeles. That rate of accumulation is an absolutely insane, unprecedented number for any elite hitter in the long history of baseball, guaranteeing him an astronomical ops year after year. Most importantly, this 19th home run of his season acted as the ultimate spiritual launch pad for this team. It ignited the fire for a suffocating, incredibly tense battle that lasted 11 innings, ultimately resulting in an 8-7 victory that officially made the Dodgers the very first team in the MLB to reach the 60-win mark in the 2026 season. However, what I want to emphasize the most today, speaking directly to you as a member of the Hall of Fame, is not just the sabermetrics, the barrel rates, or the dry statistical data. The thing that makes me genuinely love and deeply admire Shohei is his character and his incredibly high sense of personal responsibility to his team. You guys know how physically and mentally exhausting it is to be a two-way player. There are days when you pitch your heart out, executing flawless quality starts, only to watch your defense commit errors or your bullpen completely blow the lead, ruining your era and FIP. Anyone else would be incredibly discouraged and frustrated, but Shohei never bows his head in defeat. He maintains extreme laser-like focus all the way down to his very last at-bat, always carrying the mindset, this is my game, and I am going to decide the outcome with my own 2 hands. Normally, Shohei is a remarkably gentle, polite, and humble young man in the dugout. But the second he steps into the batter's box during those critical, clutch moments, he burns with a ferocity and a passion that is stronger than anyone else on the field. This swing, this 299th career home run, is the absolute perfect embodiment of his steel spirit, his unmatched bravery, and the entire essence of who Shohei Ohtani truly is.
Randy, looking at Shohei Ohtani vaporizing that first pitch cutter from Kyle Freeland, how does a legendary pitcher view this masterpiece?
Listen to me carefully, because as a left-handed pitcher who spent more than 2 decades throwing from a grueling release point to rack up 4,875 strikeouts, I need to expose a brutal truth to everyone watching tonight. What Shohei Ohtani did against the Colorado Rockies was not just an ordinary home run, nor was it just his 19th blast of the 2026 season. Under a picturesque lens, that single swing was an act of absolute mechanical and psychological torture. Let me break down this matchup from the top of the mound so you can appreciate the sheer defiance of it. In the traditional playbook of baseball, the confrontation between a left-handed pitcher and a left-handed batter, like Kyle Freeland going up against Ohtani, represents an absolute definitive advantage and edge for the guy on the rubber. When a lefty throws, the ball originates from a release point that sits far out to the left side of a left-handed hitter. To the batter's eyes, that ball looks like it is being fired directly from behind their shoulder. It triggers a natural, automatic self-defense reflex in the human brain, making it incredibly difficult to track the trajectory and gauge the strike zone accurately, which normally skyrockets the hitter's whiff rate on top of that structural advantage. Look at Freeland's pitch selection. He decided to throw a cutter on the very first pitch of the at-bat. A cutter fired from a left-handed pitcher to a left-handed batter is designed to break violently inside. Heading straight for the hitter's hands, it is a classic lethal pitch specifically engineered to completely jam the batter, force an ugly late swing, or smash their bat into splinters. It is a pitch meant to dictate order. But what did Ohtani do? He didn't sit back to track the movement or analyze the velocity. He read Freeland's intentions perfectly before the ball even left his fingertips. Instead of letting himself get crowded or jammed inside, Ohtani executed a brutal, flawless hip rotation, maintaining an immovable center of gravity to perfectly counteract the cutter and drive it with immense authority into the opposite field. Now, let's talk about the absolute mechanical insanity of this swing, because the media is completely glossing over the most terrifying detail. Heading into this July 6th game, the entire Dodgers roster and coaching staff were gripped by a massive injury scare because Shohei had to be scratched from Saturday's lineup due to right biceps tightness. For a left-handed batter like Ohtani, your right arm is your lead arm. It is the absolute anchor of your entire swing. The lead arm bears the massive responsibility of pulling the barrel of the bat through the strike zone, dictates the precise attack angle, and exerts the necessary structural force to prevent the bat from swinging wildly out of control. If a hitter's lead arm is experiencing even a minuscule amount of fatigue, tightness, or inflammation, their mechanics completely break down. They lose their strike zone discipline, their swing becomes dangerously late, and their ability to generate a high hard hit rate completely vanishes. Yet, if you look at the StatCast metrics from that swing, it defies all known laws of sports medicine. Ohtani didn't just survive the at-bat, he obliterated the baseball at an exit velocity of 105.9 miles per hour with a picture-perfect 29-degree launch angle, sending it screaming 379 feet straight into the left center stands. Heck, even earlier in the first inning, he hammered a scorching line out right up the middle that registered a terrifying bat speed of 111.8 miles per hour off the bat. As a pitcher who knows exactly how much physical force it takes to create velocity, I am telling you that generating those kinds of metrics with a tight right biceps is superhuman. He isn't relying on raw, uncontrolled muscle force. He is utilizing a flawless kinetic chain and his entire body structure to create an ungodly amount of rotational torque. Finally, we have to look at the sheer unadulterated psychological devastation this inflicts on a pitcher. Put yourself directly in Kyle Freeland's shoes on that mound. You are locked in a divisional battle against a dangerous Dodgers offense. You just walked rookie catcher Dalton rushing, putting a runner on base. Now you have to face the ultimate monster, Shohei Ohtani. You decide to execute your absolute best game plan, throwing a high execution cutter right out of the gate to ambush him and gain the upper hand. You go through your windup, hit your mechanics perfectly, and locate the pitch exactly where your catcher set up. Yet, less than half a second later, a deafening dry crack echoes through the entire stadium. You look up and your best pitch has completely vanished into the night sky, landing deep in the grandstands. The feeling that washes over a pitcher in that exact moment is one of absolute total helplessness when you execute your finest pitch according to the perfect sabermetric strategy, and your opponent completely deconstructs it without a single wasted movement, your competitive will is fundamentally broken. Ohtani's 19th home run didn't just put 2 runs on the board. It mentally paralyzed Freeland, breaking the Rockies' spirit and opening the floodgates for the Dodgers' explosive 4-run onslaught in the very next inning. Back in my era, if a batter had the absolute audacity to stand in the box, wait for my very first pitch, and punish it like that, you can bet your life that the very next ball I threw would be planted squarely in his ribs to reestablish the hierarchy on the field. But Ohtani is operating in an entirely different dimension where the conventional rules of baseball simply do not apply to him, racking up 299 career home runs with an astonishing 128 of them coming in just 3 seasons under the Dodgers banner. Is a historic pace that shatters every established baseline for elite power hitters. He is not just playing the game at an elite level, he is actively re-engineering the physical boundaries of what the human body can achieve on a baseball diamond.
Jeter, when you watch Shohei step up to the plate and deliver a massive 4 RBI performance from the top of the order, how do you view his leadership?
Look, I spent my entire career playing in New York, leading a clubhouse where winning wasn't just preferred, it was an absolute daily requirement. I understand what real pressure feels like. But what Shohei Ohtani put on display during that grueling 11-inning battle against the Rockies completely redefines the leadoff position under a lens that my generation never even imagined possible. Pure leadership and organizational standpoint, his performance was a masterclass in establishing a winning culture. In traditional baseball strategy, the mandate for a leadoff hitter is incredibly rigid and clear. Your job is to work the count, tire out the opposing pitcher, rely on your strike zone discipline, and find any possible way to get on base. You are essentially setting the table. Waiting for the cleanup hitters like Freddie Freeman or Mookie Betts to come up and clear the bases. I performed that exact role in thousands of games throughout my career, but when Shohei Ohtani bats leadoff, he doesn't just set the table for his teammates, he completely clears the entire table by himself. Look at the 3rd inning. The Rockies had just manufactured a 1-0 lead, swinging the momentum of the game. The second Shohei stepped in against Kyle Freeland, he didn't sit back to track pitches. He ambushed a first pitch cutter, launching a 379-foot blast to left center that brought Dalton rushing home and flipped the scoreboard to 2-1. That isn't just a home run, it is an aggressive statement sent directly to the opposing dugout. Then in the 4th inning, with the bases loaded, he steps up again and drives a sharp single up the middle, knocking in 2 more runs to blow the game open at 6-1. Securing Forbes in the first 4 innings from the leadoff spot is entirely unprecedented. It turns the very first position in your lineup into an absolute demolition tool that completely wrecks a picturesque game plan before they can even settle into a rhythm. What people don't realize is the massive psychological liberation this provides for the rest of the lineup. As a captain, I always watch the body language of my teammates. When you have a leadoff hitter capable of driving in 4 runs on his own, you are handing guys like Freeman or Teoscar Hernandez a massive mental gift. They don't walk into the batter's box feeling like they have to carry the entire world on their shoulders. They can relax, stay patient, and let the game come to them because the scoreboard is already working in their favor. It completely neutralizes a pitcher's ability to pitch around anyone, forcing them into a corner where they have to throw strikes. True leadership isn't about giving loud, dramatic speeches in the locker room. It is about standing up and delivering when your team is staring at adversity. Heading into this game, the entire city was terrified because Shohei had to be scratched over the weekend due to right biceps tightness. The media was starting to stir, wondering if the physical toll of his historic season was catching up to him. But look at his response. He returns to the lineup, smashes a 111.8 miles per hour line out in his very first at-bat, and then drops his 19th home run of the year to secure his 299th career blast. That unyielding, stoic attitude is exactly what transforms a dugout. He silences the outside noise through pure execution, sending a clear message to his teammates, I am fine. We are in first place, and we are going to keep winning. Throughout my career, I managed to collect 3,465 hits, and I always prioritized the collective success of the team over everything else. But when I look at Shohei Ohtani, I see a player who is not only driving his team toward the postseason, but is actively rewriting the limitations of the sport itself. Becoming the first team to reach 60 wins in the 2026 season is a historic milestone, but Ohtani's 4 RBI performance proves that conventional baseball rules simply do not apply to him. He is a leader in the truest sense of the word, guiding this team both on the lineup card and straight into the history books.
MLB のレジェンドたちの心温まるメッセージについてどう思われますか？ぜひ下のコメント欄にご意見をお寄せください。ご視聴ありがとうございました。